Shalom. Shalom to all of you. It's so wonderful to be here. This is Hadass. And I'm Yehudah. And today we are going to be studying a very special book, the book of Ruth. The book of Ruth we're going to be studying because this weekend is Shavuot. And Shavuot is the holiday we read the book of Ruth. But wait one moment, okay? We're going to try to improve our camera now. I hope that'll do things better. Much better? Okay. The book of Ruth we read on the holiday of Shavuot for many reasons. Also because King David's birthday, and also because it takes place in this time of the year, the time of the harvest of the wheat. But we want to talk about a different part of Ruth. And the reason I have Hadass, my wonderful wife, here today, also because I love her very much, but also because Hadass is Shalom to Captain Ron. Hadass is the chairman of an organization that she established, the only organization in Israel that deals with young widowers, widows, and orphans. And this week, when we read the book of Ruth, one of the special reasons we're going to be reading the book of Ruth is also because in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16, the Torah tells us that we are to remember the foreigner, the orphan, and the widow. So we will be reading the book of Ruth. The holiday of Shavuot, of Pentecost, is the holiday of the widows and the orphans. We will be studying together today, chapter 1. We're going to be skipping the heart of the story, which deals with the relationship between Ruth and Orpah and Naomi on the way back. We want to talk a little bit about Naomi, who happens to be the character that the book begins with and concludes with. And we want to read a few words about them, and I really want to hear what you have to say about this relationship, this wonderful relationship between Ruth and Naomi. So let's dive in. Unless you want to say a few words before, or should we dive?
I think you said it all.
Okay, so we can start reading, and okay. We're going to read the first few verses, and I want to stop at a certain phrase which is very, very interesting in my eyes.
We're going to tell them that we actually read it beforehand.
Yeah,
we read it over the Shabbat.
We've been reading it over the last 2 years, or whatever.
Yes. And every single time we read it, we find new words. Either that they weren't there, or I don't know. But
I'm sure we find also new understandings. I mean, some of the things we really found this week, in my eyes, are really exciting.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, it starts with just telling us the era of the story. It came to pass in the days when the judges judged. And living word, amen, thank you. And that there was a famine in the land. And a man went from Bethlehem of Judah to sojourn in the fields of Moab. He and his wife and his 2 sons. And the man's name was Elimelech. And his wife's name was Naomi. And his 2 sons' names were Machlon and Kilion, Ephrathites, from Bethlehem of Judah. And they came to the fields of Moab and remained there. Now I want you to read verse 3, because there's a very unbelievable phrase there which I want to talk a little bit about.
It says, now Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left with her 2 sons.
Yeah, Naomi was left with her 2 sons.
Well, let's continue.
And her husband died, and we'll talk about it in a second. Okay. And the 2 sons, they married Moabite women. One named was Orpah, and the other named was Ruth. And they dwelled there for about 10 years. And then both Machlon and Kilion also died. And the woman was left, bereft of her 2 children and of her husband. So let's stop over there. We'll continue a little later, but I want us to talk about the verse 3. It's the center verse of these 5 verses, which actually use as like an episode to the whole story. And what does it say? Well, the story began with Elimelech going and his wife and his children, and the subject was Elimelech. But here in verse 3, we suddenly surprised. Now Elimelech, Naomi's husband, and actually in Hebrew it says Naomi's man. And I really want to understand, why was Elimelech here, who's the subject we've been talking about?
Not just that he's the topic of the subject, it says that now he came to pass in the days of the judges, and the day of the judges, a man named Elimelech, which his name is also
Elimelech,
right? Which is
King, God's my king, or I'm a king.
Right.
You get the feeling that we're talking about a very important person.
Yeah, he's a very important person. His name is out there, and
we're speaking about him, and we're speaking about him already.
Something very nice that it says his wife's name, and then it says his son's names, and even his daughter-in-law's names, but then
Shalom Beverly and Shalom Captain Ron and everybody.
One day, in 1 second, it all of a sudden, hi everybody, and in 1 second he becomes. In an instant, he becomes Naomi's husband. He upgraded himself. Can we say that he upgraded himself? Can we say that he downgraded himself?
That's like a real feminist statement. But I really want to hear.
What just happened? What just happened? What happened? Why was his name, which was a second ago, we're going to be talking about Elimelech and his story, and that is going to be the scroll of Elimelech. And all of a sudden, we're like dumping him like yesterday's newspaper. And all of a sudden, we're talking about Naomi's husband. And I come to think, why don't we call this the scroll of Naomi? Why is it called the scroll of Ruth? Well I'll tell you right away at the beginning. I have no idea. I have no idea.
But you're a big fan of Naomi, and we'll talk about that soon.
Yes,
but I really want to hear.
I love Naomi.
When you hear the verse saying, Elimelech, Naomi's husband. And I want to point out that you were a widow for 17 years, almost 18 years.
Yeah.
Your husband, who at the age of 35 passed away, you were 29 at the time. And you were bereft with 4 children from 7 to 7 months old.
Right.
And what did you hear, using your experience, your personal experience and the experience of meeting
in between the two of us, right here, check it out. You see, right there.
Yeah.
This is Yafi, and she and this is Yehudah's first wife. But she was a first wife to Dudi,
right,
who was the father of the first 2 children of this home and house.
So we've gone through widows.
2 widows right here, very young widows. How old was she? She was 23.
And Yafi was 22.
She was 22, left with 2 children. She got married very, very young.
Yeah.
All right, and so
she was a widow.
She was left with.
But
2 children.
she never spoke a lot about the idea of being a widow. And I must say that ever since I met you, the concept of widows is really part of your life, and you really meet with widows, and you're really there empowering them. Yeah. So what do you hear?
I took widowhood to a next level.
You became a professional.
Yes, I'm a professional in widowhood.
So I really want to know what your ear, which is very sensitive, what do you hear when you hear the concept Naomi's husband? And I want to say something in parentheses.
Yeah.
Not only your ear. You showed me the Gemara, the Talmud also says it. So let's talk about that.
Scholars are with me. They're all behind me. And they say that this
what does it mean? Naomi's man, Naomi's husband,
make a difference, a huge difference in this whole thing. And they learn that there's hierarchy in death. Now, I know that a lot of you don't like this, don't like to hear it, don't like to when people deal with hierarchy of death. But there's hierarchy to everything, and I say there's hierarchy to death too. And in death, we have to acknowledge the fact that not all deaths are equal.
Not that not all deaths are equal, but who is affected? Who is mostly affected by death? And I want you to tell.
You're too
who does a spouse die for?
Exactly. That's what happens. Not just a spouse dies. The scholars teach us that a man, a woman die too. In other words, every person in the world die first and foremost to their spouse. A woman to her husband and a husband to his wife. And that is the first death.
What does that mean? I really want to hear. What does that mean? What does it mean that the one who's most affected by the death of a person is the person's spouse? Where does that take you? Where does that take you?
I'll tell you.
In that when you hear that sentence, that a person most affected by a death is the spouse.
It is the effect. Actually, we can say that unlike death of others, even grandmother, grandfather, a brother, a sister,
even a child,
a close friend, a child, all these people that die cause an enormous pain, My grandmother was a major character in my personality, and she made me to who I am in many, many ways. And her death, though I was much older, made a big impact on my life. And it's a big pain, but it doesn't do what a spouse death does. And when a spouse dies, that is a crash, an enormous crash. And I would say like three perspectives. Okay, let's say, first of all, you lose your partner to the way. Your way, your partner to your way is lost.
So that the spouse that remained is like left alone on the road.
Yeah. Now, if we're a couple and
we're a couple. By the way, our scholars say that right in between here is God.
Is God, right? In between two people who love each other and respect each other. And
right in between the husband and wife is God.
There's God.
There he is. You can take a look. Look. You can see God. You can see.
Okay. Right there. So basically, some people will say that Yahweh is God now. But let's focus again. What we're saying is that if a spouse loses a spouse, he lost a partner for his way, for every single thing. Now, if we're together and I'm down, you pick me up. If you're down, I pick you up. If you fall, I pick you up. If I fall, you pick me up. We pick each other up, and we continue on the road and on the path that we want for the two of us and for the family. But if God forbid
one of the spouses
passes away, we're talking about the person who's supposed to pick me up and the person that's supposed to help me continue whenever I am on the downside is gone. This is major.
Lacking a place, lacking a stability, a floor to stand on.
Yeah, I'm losing my place. I don't know where my place is, and where is that partner that's supposed to pick me up? Now, we all fall. We all have our falls. We all have our times when we're stronger, when we're weaker, and so we need a partner in life. Right. We need someone to be out there for us, to pick us up. And it's like little things. Sometimes I can tell in the morning when you're like, well, not him. He's always waking up in the morning jolly and happy. I don't know how and why. He's different. But me, for example, I wake up in the morning, sometimes good mornings, sometimes less good mornings, and there's somebody to pick me up. When I lost Yossi, when I lost my spouse.
Don't believe her. When I get up in the morning, I need somebody to pick me up also.
This is a class. This is nothing else.
Okay.
So anyway,
that's the first thing. You said three things. So the first thing.
Thing is I lose the partner that picks me up, and I pick him up. To sometimes the kids are yelling and screaming. Sometimes things are wrong at work. Sometimes things are wrong in our the whole way of life, everything. So we're losing this. The other thing is, I am losing my partner of defense. Just like every government, just like every country, just like every nation, we have a protection. We have an army. We have defense
somebody
unit.
To be a joint fight our enemies together.
Yes, and we have a lot of little small enemies. Sometimes it's in the supermarket. Sometimes it's in life. But in life, we have a lot of little enemies, and we have a lot of little obstacles.
Yes, Golda, you're right. She's beautiful. I agree.
And we have a lot of obstacles to overcome. How do we overcome them? We need a team. We need a partner to overcome. Now, if I lose a child, I don't want to even talk about it. I don't even want to,
the child is not the protection. It's not your backbone. It's not your.
Yes, it's not my protection. It's a spouse that is my protection.
Okay, so we're actually losing a partner for the road, or a
parent is a protection to their children. Also, but right now, the first thing that we lose is the spouse, and the two of us are protecting the family.
So like a widow is like a broken in half.
Is broken in half in quarter.
And I think that maybe the most important thing would probably be the third thing is probably the
burden of
financial support.
Now, in 2020, even more so, because in 2020
both sides work.
Who doesn't work? Like every house, most houses, I wouldn't say every house, but most houses, you need 2 salaries to support a family with these children that they need this and they need that, and we need something too. And and just in order to survive, I'm not talking about going out to an island to vacation. I'm talking about surviving. You need 2 salaries. And as soon as you lose a spouse, you lose a major salary. Not just that you lose a major salary, you also lose another salary. Because my salary as a widow is not equal to a salary of a
married couple.
Where I have another person to help me out. Where one child is sick, then I can take off, or he's going to take off, and we have.
What was wonderful when you told me these 3 things?
Yeah. What?
You then told me, I'm going to let you tell them also. You showed me that you didn't make these 3 things up.
Right.
That these 3 things.
Right. I didn't make them up.
King Solomon. Yes. And I want you to open right now.
Man.
Open Excelicitis. I never know how to say that word. Kohelet, the book of Excelicitis. Yeah, you read it. No, because King Solomon said it beautifully. Yeah. In Excelicitis chapter 4. It's just unbelievable what he says. He talks about the difference between a 2 and a 3. Chapter 4.
It's very famous.
2 are better than 1. Since they have
good reward for their toil.
For if they fall,
one will lift up his friend.
But woe to the one who falls and has no second one to lift him up. Moreover, if 2 lie down,
they will have warmth.
But how will 1 have warmth? And if a man prevails against the 1,
the 2 will stand against him.
So we have here the reward. We have here the falling, and we have here the prevailing.
Yeah.
So these are the 3 things: protection, comfort, and support, and
it concludes.
And it concludes, of course. And the 3-stranded cord will not quickly be broken. The 3. Who are the 3? You told me 2 options. Who are the 3?
So I don't know. I was thinking, what was King Solomon talking about? What was he meaning? Did he mean that the 3 are the spouses, like the 2, and the 3rd one are the children? Or maybe he meant that the 3rd one is God, that is in between.
I think that both of them, both answers are right.
Could be.
I want to a little bit of
because when we're together and we're strong together and we love each other and we respect each other, it's all about respect. A lot of respect. I am a big believer in respect. So when we have a lot of respect to each other, God is in between us because we give Him room, we give Him space.
Well, after this terrible trauma that these 3 people went through, we're talking about Naomi and her 2 daughter-in-laws. They want to go back home. We're going to talk about in a few seconds about what happens when they get to Bethlehem. But I want to talk about the first 2 things that are very strong for my eyes. Verse 6 and verse 7. Verse 6 says, now she arose with her daughters, with the daughters-in-law, and returned from the field of Moab. She left the field of Moab, for she had heard in the field of Moab that the Lord had remembered his people to give him bread. Then she went forth from the place where she had been. And her 2 daughters-in-law were where they were, and they went on the road to return to the land of Judah. These 2 phrases. She arose, vatakom, and vateitzei min hamakom she'ayta shem. In order for Naomi to move back, it's not so simple. She knows what's waiting for her in Bethlehem, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But in order for her to make that step, she has to do two things. Vatakom. What does that mean in your eyes?
You know, it's a phrase in Hebrew. And in Hebrew, when a person gets up after the 7 days of mourning, after the passing away of anyone, you sit for 7 days and mourn. And after 7 days of mourning, the word is vatakom.
Get up.
Get up.
She had to get up. You're sitting there, she has to get up.
And
but it's
we
not
have
enough
scholars
to
even send us a person, someone from the family or from the neighborhood,
to help them get
has
up.
to actually come to the people that are sitting Shiva, to the people that are mourning, and he has to tell them, get up.
Because one of the dangers is that you may really drown in that.
Yeah, you want to drown.
You really want to drown. You need somebody to pick up you up and say, get up. Yeah. But it's not enough to stand up. Then you have to, it's such a beautiful sentence. And she went from the place where she had been. I don't think it means only the geographical place.
Of course not. It says everything but the geographical place. It doesn't mean the geographical place because otherwise it would say like, but that's it, and that's it.
I know that she left, or she left from Moab.
Or go, yeah.
She went from Moab.
Right.
But it says she went from the place where she had been.
Yeah.
By the way, in one of the interesting things, when a person is mourning, we say to him, Hamakom yenachem.
Right.
The place will comfort you.
Right.
Because a person who lost, especially a spouse, is somebody who lost his place in the world. And
it's two things. It's not just the place in the world. It's also the place is a nickname for God. And very often it happens to us that when we lose something very, very dear to us, something very significant, like a spouse, like a child, like a mother, like a father, something very significant, and I'm going to say something that not a lot of people like to hear, we lose touch with God. We're angry.
So is that what I'm saying? I know. When you lose a significant thing, like when I lose the keys of the car. Where is the place that I put them? Where's the place that I put them? I'm looking for the place.
Yes. So sometimes we are angry with God. And what we're saying basically is that she got out of the place. Maybe she was angry with God. Maybe she was, but she needed to get out. Why did she need to
Shalom
get out?
Richard and Shalom Michael and Shalom all of you. That's so wonderful you're all here with us.
Hi everybody. Why did she need to get out? Do you know why she needed to get out? Because there's something very, very amazing about being a widow. A widow finds herself that everything stays the same clothes, same food, same recipes, same everything, same children, same everything, and nothing is the same.
And actually, but when people see her, they're always saying, wow, she was strong, she's a wonderful
superwoman.
She's a superwoman, she chose life.
Yes. She chose life. She's overcoming him, and she's doing such great steps. And the truth of the matter is, we put up on our makeup, we put up nice clothes, and we get out, and we take our children, we go on vacation with them. We renovate the house. We do lots of things which are absolutely
really disguised. Really disguising.
Disconnected from our heart.
From the real. Your heart is really.
Our heart is someplace else.
Is scarred.
Right.
But sometimes people say many good things. Sometimes people say many good things. Wow, she's so strong, she's so special. That is not what happened to Naomi when she got back to Bethlehem. Right. Let us read.
Wait, but I also want to say, that when we read these three women, and when we talk about them, we talk about the three kinds of women.
So let's talk about it right now. Let's go take us back to Bethlehem. And I want to read the verses in verse 19. In verse 19, we can see what happens when they arrive at the city of Bethlehem. And they both went on. We know that Orpah left, and Ruth and Naomi continued. And both of them went on till they arrived to Bethlehem. And it came to pass, when they arrived to Bethlehem, the entire city was astir on their account. And they said, is this Naomi? Now the book says, that's what they said, is this Naomi? Do you think that's all that was said there? What do you imagine what else happened there when Naomi comes back after she went away 10, 15 years earlier? We don't know exactly. We know that they were married for 10 years, but at least 10, 15 years later. What do you think went on in the heads or in the mouths of the women of Bethlehem when she came back? What do you think went on in their mouths? What would you say? Vatehom kol ha'ir. The whole city is astir.
So I just checked now on the Google Translate to see if the word astir means
positive
or negative. And it is a positive word. And I am here to say wrong. I think it is a negative word. And in Hebrew, that word astir, which is tehom, can actually have two meanings. It can have like noise, which is like the whole city was on noise. There's a lot of noise, a lot of
turmoil.
Everything, everyone's talking and whatever. There's a lot of noise about her comings, their coming. And there's also vatehom, which is deep down.
Abyss.
Deep down and the bottom of it is a very negative word.
But that's the description. What do you think the women of Bethlehem were saying?
This is exactly what I think. I think that it's not Esther. It is actually they were gossiping. They were gossiping.
Like what? What
on Naomi. And they said something like, you know what? Look at that. Look at her. They said something like
she deserves it.
She deserves it. She doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, why were they angry at her? Why were they angry at her? What did they think she deserves it? What? Okay.
We're gonna basically what I'm saying is that they came to Bethlehem just like every other widow. When she walks in to anywhere, to the school, to the store, to work, to anywhere, with neighbors, anywhere a widow walks in, usually the truth of the matter is that usually it's silence.
But they're talking around in the back, outside. They look, Naomi's coming. Look, that's Naomi. Look. You remember what she used to be like?
Yeah.
Now look at you. Now look what happened to her.
Look what she looks like now.
But you know what? Maybe we'll say a word.
And how she's coming. Oh, and it was like what's it called? Rav here when we had
famine here.
Famine here. Oh, they left. Oh, now that she's coming back.
Good thing you remember.
Oh yeah, now she remembers to come back.
You know who was afraid of that?
Who? Naomi.
I think Orpah. Orpah, when she left, what do you think Orpah decided the heck with it? I'm not going there.
She probably thought to herself, like, what do they have to offer me there? What am I going to do there? I'm a foreigner. I'm going to be a foreigner. Am I going to find a second chapter? Because Naomi tells them, don't come with me. There's nothing for you with me. Don't come with me. Go back home to your parents. Find chapter 2. Find someone to comfort you and go back.
So she was like reasonable. She was logical.
She was very logical. She was very reasonable. She was down to earth. She was a widow. I'm sure she loved her husband. Nothing to do with it. But she
has no kids from him. She has
common sense. She had 2 feet on the ground. Said to herself, I have to move on. I'm a young woman. I have to move on.
I have a new life. I have a life ahead of me.
Yeah. What am I going to do?
And what was going on in Naomi's head at the time?
And Naomi's head, she was probably what can I offer them? I can't offer them anything. There's nothing for me to offer them.
No hope, no future.
Yeah.
Distress.
Yeah.
Naomi, we see she's very bitter. We stopped and read where it says don't call me Naomi. Naomi means quiet, nice.
Yeah.
Don't call me Naomi. Call me bitter. Call me Mara. Call me Mara because God has really bitterly harmed me. I left full and the Lord has brought me back empty. Why should you call me Naomi? Look what the Lord has testified against me, and the Almighty has dealt harshly with me. Anyway, so Naomi was really bitter, and Orpah said, what do I need that? What do I need to go back to a place I have no future, I have nothing to do with me?
Right.
So what is Ruth?
Ruth is a different kind of a widow. I would say, like, we have three types of widows in this situation right now. The three types are Naomi, who's bitter, who's
she has a right to be bitter. She lost a husband. She lost
sure.
two kids.
I'm not being judgmental.
She lost everything. Her whole life.
Any of them. I'm just saying that there are three kinds of widowhood, and with all legit. They're all legit. All three of them are totally legit. The first one is Naomi, who's bitter, who's aching
and blaming.
Who's blaming, who doesn't believe there's going to be a future, who doesn't understand she's getting out of her space, out of her place. She has no place. She has nowhere to go. Everything is dreadful. This is it. This is the end of times for her. Now, Orpah is like, I'm going to do whatever I can to survive, and I'm going to do whatever I can to make sense of my future life. And she goes back home because there she can find someone to marry and find someone to go for a second, like a
second chance.
Second chance, and.
But you know what? Before you go on to Ruth,
yeah,
I want to say, and what are the women of Bethlehem? You know why I want to say what the women of Bethlehem?
Why?
Do you remember what the first verse in this book started off? And it was in the time of judging and judging and judging. I think the women of Bethlehem were judging.
They're judgmental. Yes.
Judgmental. Either blaming or attacking or saying, look, she deserved it. She got to it. And so let's just, we want to finish with a happy end.
Yeah.
So what is Ruth?
So Ruth is my ideal widow. She's young and she understands, and she's painful, but she understands.
She's in pain. She knows the pain. She lost her.
A lot of pain, but she understands that together, that the cord and the equals, the company of equals is going to save me. The company of equals is going to save me. I'm going to stick to Naomi. Naomi is going to stick to me. Together, we're worth more than one.
And this is what maybe the Torah is teaching us when we're coming up post Shavuot. Yeah. Don't judge. Don't, on both ways. You see a widow on the side, she looks beautiful, everything's fine. Don't say, oh, everything's fine. Not everything's fine. Don't say, wow, she's a strong lady, a superwoman. No, she's not. At the same time, don't judge her. Don't say it's her fault. By the way, sometimes, not this case, sometimes we're even talking about many occasions in our time. People are not aware of that. A lot of people die from illnesses. So that you can be blamed. Oh, why he was smoking, he was eating, he was obese, or suicide. We have a lot of cases of suicide. And suicide, I'm not going to get into that right now, but it's also kind of an illness, and it's something that needs. One thing you shouldn't do when you see a widow, not judge her, not the good and not the bad. What you can do is try to empower her, try to strengthen the familyhood of her family that's remained, and try to give her strength. And I think what you do in Amitsim, the organization, which the acronym is Almanot Yetomim Tzirim, Young Widows and Orphans, you're really going out there, and I see you talking to these women and giving strength. Last week, you took two little girls of somebody who was in difficulty because she was coping for nine weeks in this coronavirus alone, coronavirus, and taking those two kids and telling them how great a mother they have, and telling the mother how great children they have. And she does, by the way, the most wonderful kids you can only dream of. Right. But it's hard. It's hard. The burden is hard. No judging. No judging. No saying, wow, she's wonderful, she doesn't need any help. No saying, oh, it's her fault, she doesn't need any help. Going there and seeing how you can give her strength, how you can tell her words that will strengthen her, how you can offer aid, offer comfort, offer strength, anything that will give strength. Not taking kids away to different families and giving the family
I think strength. In general, widows and orphans are a symbol to people in stress and in pain. And what we need to do is we need to empower them. And the way to empower them is not to tell them what to do, is just to tell them We are here for you. You need our help? We're going to help. We're here for you. Do whatever you think. You know best. You know best what to do. Do it. We're here for you. We believe in you. We love you. We're here for you. Go for it. Do it. You need to rest. You need to do. We're here with you.
And there's no surprise why God again and again repeats and talks about the orphan and the widow. If you want to learn more, by the way, you can go into the Amitsim.org organization, and you'll see a lot of the activity.
AMITSIM.org.
AMITSIM.org.
It's mostly in Hebrew because
you go to the English
goes
page.
to the Israelis.
But the pictures and the faces of people are, you can see it probably in all languages. Yeah. But really the needs are in all languages. So Shavuot, we will be celebrating the holiday of the orphan and the widow. And we will give them empowerment, and we will fill their stomachs with the best food we can. And we will strengthen them as much as we can.
That's what we need to do.
Bye. Shalom. Thank you for joining us. And it was wonderful having you with us.
Thank you.